International PHP Conference. So, PHP, the language, the platform, as you all may know, is one of the real centers of gravity of the web since more than a decade. So, as we were doing the PHP conference for years and years, we added just some other aspects because we knew you guys doing PHP programming, doing PHP-based websites, yeah, need to have some additional stuff around it. So we used to do Mainz SQL conference in the early days. We had Ajax in action. This was around 2005, 2006, the big Ajax and JavaScript hype. And now, since 2 years, we got the WebTech conference, which really provides the whole range of front-end technologies, cloud computing, and everything which is web-related, everything which treats the web not only kind of a communication layer or something like that. The web is kind of an operating system for all of our business. So what you can expect is 3 days full of content, packed with many, many sessions, more than 100, yeah, in all the different tracks you find in the printed agenda as well as on the web. And before we dive into the conference itself, I'd like to share a few thoughts on, well, the discussions we had inside editorial teams, how we consider the web is evolving, or what's the main aspects everybody of us should consider to understand the future trends of the web. So first of all, nice picture, the web these days is changing dramatically. What does it mean? By 2014, we cross over. More people will be on the mobile internet than on the desktop. This is a quotation right from the Toronto-based mobile conference by a guy from Deloitte. Just a few days ago, he said just this. And that's really important. So it's really changing. We are leaving the desktop, traditional browser, PC or whatever based web, towards a web which is kind of multi-device, which is kind of mobile. And this affects all of our work, I'm 100% sure. So, mobile internet devices, you know, there's a smartphone hype out there, it's the Android-based phones, it's the iPhone, and many, many more. We got the tablets, the iPad, and hopefully many, many more in a few months before Christmas. I think we'll see many more. But don't forget the traditional feature phones. If you have a global view on all those developments, feature phones, traditional GSM phones, not so fancy smartphones, will still keep on playing a role globally. Good. What is changing is not only about devices and screen sizes, etc., etc. It's also the quality of services, the type of services you and your customers are going or should offer to the end customer out there. So it's location-based stuff, as you all know. It's augmented reality, yeah, very interesting trend. And well, it's the integration of all these components with elements of social media. Sharing, communicating, that's it. Everything should be community-based in some way. Here's a nice image, many, many colors. I don't know if somebody just in the last few weeks read an article starting with this graphic. Does anybody remember this graphic? Nobody? So it's the article from the editor-in-chief of the Wired magazine. The web is dead. He said, okay, the web is dead, it's over. Long live the internet was the subtitle, by the way. So it's about, it's the traffic, yeah? The traffic on the internet. And what he says is the right thing is the traditional web, is the www.xyz, etc. It's going down if you compare it to other factors. That's really important. So the traffic and as well the business on the internet is changing dramatically these days. What does this mean? The delirious chaos of the open web has an adolescent phase subsidized by industrial giants groping their way in the new world. Big quotation. In the end, so I highly recommend you guys all to read this article. The web is dead. Just Google the web is dead, you will find it. What he's saying is the adolescent phase of the web is over now, and now happens what to every industry in history happened. The big players try to avoid the open. They want their own, let's say, walled gardens. They want their own closed systems, and they're coming back. Take, for example, Apple. Take, for example, many, many more. So the character of the web, so as much as we all like or love the internet, it's a totally open system, totally open to everybody. From an intellectual standpoint, as much as we love all that, the economy, the big players will turn it the other way around. And that's not only a bad message, it's just a change we need to understand. So, what's one of the results is kind of the app mania. Started in the smartphone world, you know those people like to download their apps and not browsing on websites, etc. Because it's more convenient. Yeah? If I check my, let's say, LinkedIn account, yeah, I don't want to type in my smartphone with this crappy keyboard, yeah, just www.linkedin.com, no, I just want to click on it and it's starting, yeah, and I see, that's my news, that's my latest contacts, etc., like that. That's really important. So, think about you using of the smartphones, yeah. It's not very interesting to use the Google search on the browser. It's not very interesting to browse something on the browser, on the smartphone. It's much more interesting to use apps. Be it for eBay, be it for your project management system, be it for whatever, for the weather, etc., etc. People love apps. And this changes the world. And again, it's also all about closed value change. Like Apple shows this to us. So, for example, you go to iTunes, and Steve Jobs wants us to be in this, I think it was Ping, the social game, talking about music, etc., yeah? So it's a closed walled garden. And it's coming, many of them. On the other hand, we have all those debates around app or web. What is better? Is the pure web better or is the app better? First of all, I'd like to say, it's not about native code versus web. It's not about Objective-C or Java or whatever against the web. It's more like the hybrid apps. It's the packaged websites. They use, of course, they have highly use of traditional web technologies, especially HTML5, CSS, etc., but they need to be packaged like apps, because that's the user experience which is demanded on mobile devices. So we see a fragmented market, kind of moving away from the all-open internet, which was dominated by just one player, this is Google. So on the all-open internet, there's just one player having a deep benefit from all the activities, and that's Google. And there cannot be a second one out there. We know that. There cannot be a second one out there. And that's the reason why all the other bigger players try to set up their, how they call it, walled gardens. That's important. The question is now, what about the future of search? If many different systems are kind of in kind of silos. I don't know, we will see. What's the future of search engine optimization? Same question. Again, and it's about the kind of closed systems, the value chain for the vendors, but on the other hand, it's kind of a convenience for all the users out there. The closed systems versus the total open web where everybody can play with. But in the other hand, we live in a multi-device world, and that's really important, especially from a technology standpoint. We talk about multiple front-end technologies. So, still, the web technologies are still, let's say, en vogue. They won't diminish. But it's important to understand the mechanics, let's say, of an iOS, the mechanics of an Android, the mechanics of a Windows 7 phone, soon to come. The mechanics of other to-come widget systems or gadget systems that you see on the traditional operating systems. And it's about multiple screen sizes. This is a challenge for you designers. And about multiple user contexts. So somebody using the service on a smartphone is a totally different situation than sitting on his desktop or using an iPad or whatever. So you need to consider many, many more contexts to understand the user consumption. So you believe supporting different browsers is a hard job? Welcome to the world. Now it's getting really complex. It's getting really complex. Multi-device, multi-service, everything mobile, the world is changing. I'm 100% sure. And I think we are working on this, providing lots of information in this conference, in this combined conferences, for you guys to be prepared on those challenges. One more thing, territories. Again, I think the open web, as we knew it for the, let's say, last decade, is changing its face. We are facing more and more closed territories. Take, for example, China. Just this morning in the news I heard that the Nobel Prize guy sitting in the prison, at the moment the Chinese filtering system works like no email written in Chinese with mentioning the name of the guy, no email like that can leave China. That's a territory. It's not the open web anymore. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, Apple is kind of a territory. Yeah? And again, here are some crappy German words, Vorratsdatenspeicherung. I have no clue how to translate this to English. Yeah? And Internetsperren, yeah? It's kind of controlling the web. It's kind of controlling the web content. It's a national thing. It's not a global, it's not an open thing. Facebook isn't the open web. Facebook is a closed system. Well, with a low barrier of entry, you can enter it, you can go in, but it's not an open system. That's really important. And we see, just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, I got the news that the magazine GQ, Gentleman's Quarterly, they don't have any own website anymore. They just shifted to Facebook. They say, that's what we need. We don't need a website out there in the space. So, this is not a recipe for all of you guys, but it's important to understand what happens. Big brands are shifting just to Facebook. They say it's enough for us. We got the best contact to our customers, using a Facebook fan page. And last but not least, Google. What role will Google play in the next decade? We still don't know. Google dominated. Google really gave the web of the last decade the direction. But the next decade is still the Google decade? I don't believe. Google won't vanish or something like that, but still be there. But it won't be the game changer. That's my guess. Good. The cloud. This was the cloud. The cloud. I remember last year at PHP conference we had a panel discussion about the cloud. In the end, it was kind of, isn't this just a different way to host things? And I'd say, no, this is not just a hosting plus plus. It's more than it. It has to do with many, many complex aspects, but I would summarize, it's about the ubiquity of the net. It's there, you can access it, be it mobile, be it on the cable, be it whatever place you are in the world. You get your data from a user perspective. It's the accessibility of everything via APIs. You bring together all pieces. It's not about the human-facing web, it's also the web of things, which is related to the cloud. And again, it's a device-independent computing. When I got my stuff done on the smartphone, I can check it later on my iPad or using my laptop a few days. It doesn't matter. The data, all the information, all the communication channels, they are in the cloud. Whatever device I'm using right now. A few conclusions. First of all, mobile is becoming crucial. That's really important. It will be not an extra you maybe do, it will be